Today, I want to talk about a really cool concept, conscious learning. But before that, I want to clarify what unconscious learning is. Unconscious learning is learning in the process. It happens just because it's impossible not to learn in the process. When we draw sketches, for example. And many people live their lives growing unconsciously. They just say, draw, draw, draw every day. But there is a more effective way, which is, as I said, conscious learning. And in this video, I want to give you 5 pieces of advice on how to learn to draw consciously. The first thing you need to do is to stop seeking for the easy way. If you use references for anything, colors, poses, background, use it as a reference and not a stencil. Don't use a dropper. Some people have problems with drawing different lightings, or the skin is always the same color. You can avoid these kinds of problems if you stop using a dropper on your reference or other art. You might be able to relate to this moment when one color seems like 2 different colors each time it is compared to different colors. When you pick colors yourself, you train your eye to avoid this kind of trap. Same thing with references of poses, faces, and backgrounds. Don't use them as stencils. By drawing everything yourself, you'll learn to measure size and location of elements, and this will serve you well in the future. Second, do some kind of research for references before drawing. This will not only make your art more accurate and beautiful, but will make a cool study out of everything you draw if you just find good references. Drawing sketches of hands is good, but implementing sketches of hands into your drawings is better, and also very effective. Research like this supplies a good amount of inspiration also. In the case if you can't find a good reference, just take a picture of yourself. Free? When using references for drawing, don't just mindlessly copy, but try to understand inner structure. Why is this curve here? Why is this detail here? Where does this shade come from? You will only be able to draw something without reference if you understand it on a deep level. Some things are pretty easy to understand, like a light bulb or a flower, but other things require more than just a couple drawings. In order to get things like people, animals, or mechanics right, you need to study them, how they work and what's inside them. I remember this one time in art school when they showed us the structure of a knee bone and asked us to draw it. Thanks to this experience, even now, 4 years later, I still remember this drawing. It really helps me, and it can work with anything. If you study it and draw it, it will stick. 4. Keep learning even when you're not drawing. When you just live, sit in a bus or in a classroom, analyze everything around you. Try to remember how everything looks, how light works. Also analyze all the art that you see, which includes drawings, paintings, movies, cartoons, and everything. Every frame is art. For the last 4 years, I've watched movies for the sake of learning from them. I try to analyze every frame, colors, composition, meaning. For example, my favorite movie, Pride and Prejudice, I've already watched around 20 times, and every time I had something to learn from. For example, in this shot, the main character, Elizabeth, has conflicting feelings. Warmth of love from one side, and her prejudice and contempt on the other. And the lighting shows this very well. This shot is a good example of the rule of thirds. This one has a nice complementary color palette. You can learn just like this from any design, any art. Just ask yourself questions. Why is it like this? Why do I like this? How can I use this in my art? And the last thing that can help you learn more consciously is feedback. No one can evaluate their art 100% accurately. This is why you may like some of your artworks, and after a couple months, they lose their beauty. Of course, criticism is hard to take in sometimes, especially at an associative stage of skill acquisition, which is basically a stage of practice. If you want to learn more about stages of skill acquisition, you can watch my video about continuing to move forward even when you don't like the result. The link will be at the end of the video and in the description. Personally for me, art school was a really good boost at the associative stage, because I had a good teacher that regularly gave me constructive critique. If you have time and the opportunity, I recommend finding an environment or a person that can help you notice things about your art that you don't notice yourself. Unfortunately, I don't know any good online resource for that, so please let me know in the comments if there are some out there. And before finishing, I want to say that it's nice to draw when you're drawing something you like and already know how to draw, but you're not growing in this case. When you have to draw the same thing over and over again and the result is not 100% satisfactory, this is a sign that you are growing. But also please remember that negative emotions will be compensated when you compare your art to the art you did a year ago and see the progress. So remember that, keep drawing and don't slouch.